At each of the events thus far, we've been discussing how does music come into the world? How do we drag a slice of heaven down and bring it into our imperfect world? And what's needed to do that? And I realized that the one thing that we have not discussed in that process is we've never discussed DGM Ltd, which is the company that Robert and I began in 1993 as a solution to the inequities of the music industry. And, and assuming the room is full of King Crimson fans, most of what you have purchased, certainly in the last 20 years, in fact, even back to 1993, in fact, could not have come into the world without DGM. And do you have thoughts on the necessity behind DGM, Robert?
Yes, I do. It was 2 years into 21 years of endless grief. It was a result of control, exploitation, theft, and lies by a very well-respected English accountant and one of the founding members of Nordhoff Robbins Music Therapy, an advisor to the palace, and a very well-respected player and worker of good works, who lied. And 2 years into this, since there was no longer a vehicle for King Crimson or much else in our part of the world to take place, we founded a company as a vehicle for bringing the music into the world. And this cost us a lot of money. How many years was it before we made a profit, David?
Forever. The problem with forming a company that is a reaction against something. So you have the inequities of the music industry here. We were seeking to establish a model of ethical practice. And the problem is that you probably overreact. So for at least the first 10 years, we were running DGM the charity, where the artists did very well, and the record label didn't do very well financially. It was at least until the early 2000s, I would think, before we managed to find a way of balancing the two and realizing we do have to value our work as well. We are the staff of DGM people. We need to be valued as well. And so we rebalanced it. But yes, at least 10 years we had DGM the charity.
With DGM at the moment, in a time when physical sales are falling, with the exception of vinyl, CD sales, for example, have fallen off. DGM physical sales are increasing. We are an astonishingly successful niche record company. We are very, very fortunate to have a distributor called Panegyric, which is run by Declan Colgan, who came from Virgin Records. Declan was sacked by Virgin Records because, Declan, you're too artist-friendly. In other words, Declan couldn't easily look an artist in the eyes and lie to them. So Declan had no place in Virgin, especially when it was acquired by EMI, even before it was acquired by UMG. So we are relatively independent. We pick our project, which in any conventional way of looking at it is wildly uncommercial. It took us 20 years of sifting through the archives before we knew what we had. And now we're able to put together our box sets, which have established the standard in the field. And we are now suffering from that because there are other box sets being produced by major players which don't meet the standard that we set, which is wildly uncommercial. So box sets are being discounted, and there is pressure on DGM to discount its box sets, which is actually they cost so much to produce, it's not on. Anyway, we're a runaway success, is what I want to say. And we are a runaway success because we define ourselves in terms which render us outside the conventional marketplace.
Yes, sadly, I can't recite all of our business aims from memory. I printed them out. And the second aim of DGM is to operate in the marketplace while being free of the values of the marketplace. And those box sets are a perfect example of that. Because if you exist in the marketplace and you want to make a lot of money out of a box set, what you obviously do is you put in the smallest amount you can possibly do for the largest price that you can sell it for. That's how you make a very profitable box set. Whereas every time we look at a period, and we've just done exposure, so there's an exposures box set, we simply look at it. Thank you. We simply look at it and think, what have we got? We will put everything we can possibly find relating to this period into this box set. And so you have the League of Gentlemen and all the Frippatronics and all the versions of exposure. And we begin to think this is what the box set is. And all of the box sets follow the same trajectory, that at some point or other, we discover a whole lot more that we didn't know that we had. We think, hold on, we could have another 4 CDs here, and we can probably put in another Blu-ray. And that makes absolutely no difference to the selling price of the box set. You know, there is a point at which this is the right price for a box set. So we simply add another £5 or £6 to the manufacturing cost for a box set that will sell for exactly the same amount. And it's a winning formula, bizarrely or wonderfully, because the fans, I think everybody realizes that we try to do these things with love and attention, and therefore people buy them. My favorite quote with regard to the box sets was of somebody who's not a fan of King Crimson, apparently, and who was moaning online and said, I really don't like King Crimson. I wish I liked King Crimson, because the band that I like doesn't put out box sets half as good as the ones that King Crimson puts out.